Hello everybody, welcome back to the Game of Muscle YouTube channel. We're going to be jumping into Assetto Corsa Competizione and we're going to be doing a single player, heavy rain, storm clouds, United Kingdom full simulation at the Nürburgring, which is not in the UK, race. This is the first month of the early access, the September month. In October, they're doing another update with more tracks and more content, but these are the first 2 months where the game is €25, I believe. After that, it's going to get more and more expensive, up to about, I think, €60 is the final price. So now's a good time to get it if you're dithering on the fence. It's only going to get more expensive. That's how the Kunos boys get the money from you, but not if you're quick. Not if you're quick. So we're going to try out the wet weather racing whilst we're at it. We've got a quick race. We're just going to do 10 minutes. Well, I'm going to put it in the middle of the day because, well, rain's dark enough for me. We'll do a nighttime race as a separate video. Opponent skill is on 95, aggression on 100. That's as aggressive, we need full aggression. Oh, this has actually changed from the last time I played it. So let's put this on 100 still. Full aggression. 95. I know it hasn't changed, I'm just being crazy. The opponent's skill can be either 80 or 100. I'd put it on 90, 95. I don't know why it's 80% to 100, but there you go. We're going to start at the back of the grid. We've got 20 cars at the maximum. And there we go. There we go. We are ready. I've turned all the assists off apart from clutch and engine start. That, the car starts itself. And I don't know why clutch is set to automatic because I've got it there. Oh no, because I was testing out with my T300 recently and that doesn't have a clutch. That's why that's on. But you don't. It's a flappy paddle car. Stability controls off. Ideal line is hidden. We're all good. That's all fine. So let's start this race. We're going to be Adrian Amdzus. Why not? No, I'm going to be an Ezekiel Kompanak. Oh dear, names. They just destroy me. Nice car. Of course, it's the Lamborghini Huracan GT3. So let's get driving. That's how long we've been going for there. 2 minutes. Sorry, guys. Background of the has changed to the wet surface. That looks nice. Here we go, windscreen wipers on. Of course, you will need your windscreen wiper bound if you're going to drive in the wet. The headlights should be on, and we've got a headlight button bound as well. Well, I don't know what that's about. We're going to go for the wet preset setup. I think that's applied it. And, yeah, we're ready. We're ready to go. We'll see how this goes. 10 minutes of rain. Windscreen wiper on. There we go.
Right, we have some wet conditions. Remember that curbs are slippery. Watch your braking distance.
We do have wet conditions. Thanks for telling me. I hadn't noticed. Now, one of the first things you notice in ACC with this wet rain is they've done a nice effect actually from the cars in front of you with the spray. It kind of produces almost like they've got the spray off the wheels, which you can see, which looks really nice. But then they've also got like a fog effect that comes up, so sort of like a distributed spray, which I think is one of the better wet weather spray effects I've actually seen in the game. Effectively means you can't see jack when there's a car in front of you, and you really do have to know a circuit 110%. I'm being rear-ended. Get off me, boys. I'm in a bit of a slide there, aquaplaning. You really do have to know a track 110%. To drive behind another vehicle in this sort of weather. I mean, this is borderline getting close to black flag weather. We won't make any Silverstone MotoGP jokes. that was rather unfortunate. We're actually racing here. Whoa, got to be really careful on the brakes. Now, one of the things you notice with the wet track in ACC, bloody slippy. That's one thing you notice. With the different rain settings, this is one of the more over-the-top wet track situations. But you notice there's quite a lot of variability to the different parts of the circuit and where the water lies on the circuit, and then how the grip increases and decreases at variable places. Now, obviously, the comparison that I think most people would make is between this and, say, Project Cars 2. I think Project Cars 2 does a lot better with the visual representation of the wetness on the circuit and how the water builds up on the circuit. But I think ACC does a better job of how the wetness sort of affects the car grip and to what extent it affects it. Now, you don't end up with such ludicrous, crazy aquaplane puddles in ACC like you do in Project Cars 2. And even when you've got really low grip in ACC from effectively aquaplaning, there still seems to be a little bit there that you can respond to and drive with. It's not a... In Project Cars 2, the puddles, when it's totally saturated, basically the grip is zero. It's like being in outer space. I've not noticed that really happening with ACC in the wet. So that, you know, I think that's really nice. And when you run the when you run it with the track not on like super ultra moist, I mean this is like someone's put a tub of E45 cream all over the circuit. When you run it at the lower settings of wetness, it's a lot more subtle, and you notice quite a nice difference between the racing line and the wet patch of the circuit. My God! You also notice there, the paint is very slippy. Just put a back wheel on the paint and the car just did a 360 no-scope headshot. So you have to watch out for the curbing and the paint on the circuit when going around those corners. I mean, the arena corner on the Nürburgring GP is I mean, it's quite slippy in the dry because the camber and how you have to counter steer the car through the corner and balance the power. But in the wet, you got to be even more careful. Now, one of the big handling characteristic differences I've noticed in ACC, and I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of it. I mean, I have to say this is all separate to the force feedback. I'm really not enjoying the force feedback in ACC. To me, it feels broken at the moment. Maybe I'm wrong, but it just feels a bit delayed, and the input as well just feels a bit delayed. But ignoring that, one of the big differences I've noticed is the way for the back of the car to follow the car around. So the weight of the car and then the rear wanting to sort of... It's like towing a caravan or something. But you have to be really careful, especially in the wet, that the rear of the car doesn't follow around and lose... And from that following around, lose traction and then you just rotate because you've gone over the limit. It's a lot easier to do that in the wet than it is to do that in the dry. Running on the AstroTurf was all right there. It's not really AstroTurf on this circuit there. It's more like a plastic grill, I guess. Whoop, let's try and get up the inside. Sneaky beaky. But visually, I really love the wet rain in this. I really love how you really can't see anything. Coming down the straight here, I'm about 10 metres away from these cars in front. I need to, next lap I'll try and get right in amongst them. Oh, let's try and find a gap there. And we'll drive right next to them. You'll see what I mean. The visibility is it just disappears. Which I believe is probably pretty close to reality. I mean, based off the onboards that you see. Oh God, there's no grip there. I've just thought I'd murder him. Totally just locked up an aquaplane there. The track is saturated. Yeah, when you look at onboard cameras in the wet, you know, this that sort of white out in front of the car, I think is probably quite accurate. Oh, the fronts are not biting at all. The track is ultra saturated. It's just got worse. It's just got worse. I need a boat for these conditions. Look at the water build up on the side of the circuit as well. It looks really nice. You see these big puddles. Looks fantastic. Oh. I mean, this is going to be so tricky. I mean, the AI in ACC are kind of convoy a little bit. They're very similar to Assetto Corsa. If we've got these sort of conditions online in a race, it's going to be really interesting. I don't know if the conditions are going to go from condition to condition. Like, so far in this version of the game, you can pick the weather, but I don't know if you can. Well, I've not tested it transitioning yet, so we need to try that out. But that'll be really interesting. I think that's where weather gets most interesting. Oh, slowly ran wide there. So driving in the wet, personally, I don't think is that enjoyable. I mean, it's basically just. It's basically just more of a chore in some ways. Less responsive car. It's slightly different in ACC because there's quite a lot of subtlety going on with the tyres. So it's not like what you tend to find the wet is like in other simulators where it's like wet is low grip. In ACC it's a lot more nuanced. But outside of that, what I think is interesting about weather isn't the fact that it's wet. It's that strategic aspect of it's starting to get wet. Do you then pit? And that gradual transition of the track getting damp, and then how you have to... I keep forgetting there's no grip there. How you have to gradually adopt your driving style as the track progresses from dry to wet or wet to dry. I think that's the interesting part of wet weather driving, not the fact it's wet, if that makes sense. Probably didn't make sense, but we're trying. Look at the traction control doing its work here. We are now driving a sledge for sure. We'll keep going. We'll put the windscreen wiper on turbo mode. Look at the wipe on that wiper. What? Come on. Go. Watch out. Can't really see the lights too clearly on the road. I think it would be nice if the headlights are quite muted, unless it's until it's like really dark in ACC. When you go through the different headlight modes, you don't really notice them that much. Whereas I think it'd be nice if they were a little bit more pronounced, especially in the daytime wet, where you would notice the headlights a bit more. I think on the road surface. I mean, you could see it a little bit more clearly from this view. Oh, God, look at the road reflecting the trees. That looks cool. Oh, look at you can see the screen of water vapour behind us.
Yellow flag, be careful.
Oh, come on. Nurse the car through this. Go, go, go. 41 lap going. 1 lap left.
That's not best.
I want to try and get right up behind the vehicle so you can see the... Oh, let's go to the inside there. A little bit of a cheeky move. Get right close to another car so you can see the light on them, and also how little visibility we get. Though I think because the track is so saturated here, I'm not actually going that fast. Neither's the AI to actually kick up as much spray as you get when you put this circuit on moderately wet. So in some ways, completely waterlogged track like this is actually easier. I mean, harder in terms of steering, but easier in terms of racecraft than just a mildly damp circuit. Whoa, that's so slippy. Look at this spray. Oh, I want to get right up behind him. I'm going to stick on his bumper so we can see the spray nice and clear. Luckily, these cars have a ton of traction control. Oh, no! There goes my standing behind him. I was on the brake there. The car just went in a straight line. But I do like how, say, outside the force feedback, outside of what appears to be a bit of input delay, I do like the general subtlety and sort of... I think it's mostly just tyre flex that's coming through, and that sort of subtlety of the tyre play in this is a lot more noticeable than other simulators. Oh, run wide again. Oh, we got smoke coming up from the... Oh, no. Sorry. Smoke coming up from the stands because the race is finished. What better way to celebrate the end of a race than to let off a smoke grenade? That's nice for all the families and all the asthmatics next to you. Well, there we go. You can see the headlights a little bit on the wall here. Nice particle effect there. But there you go. That gives you an idea of wet driving in the Assetto Corsa Competizione and smoke grenade use in a crowd of people. That's what it's all about, everybody. Proper English weather, that. I mean, look at the sky. It's proper grey. Listen to that water. It feels quite homely. But there you go, guys. Assetto Corsa Competizione coming out. Well, it's out now. It's not out yet at the making of this video, but it's out when this video goes live due to the power of embargoes. It's out now for the early access, €25. Though I'm not a fan of the force feedback. I've said this like 4 times now. I'm so bitter about the force feedback. Though I'm not a fan of the force feedback, I would definitely recommend picking it up now for the €25. It's going to go up to €60 eventually. It's 2 months whilst it's staying at €25. They're going to gradually each month roll out new cars, tracks, and eventually by the 1st of next year, there'll be a full game there. I think it's going to progress in the right direction. At least I really hope it does. You know, it's nice. It looks really nice. The underlying physics seem to have a huge amount of potential there. I'd just like to see some aspects of the input, the force feedback addressed, and then I'll be able to fanboy over it like I did Assetto Corsa. But there you go, guys. Don't forget to click the subscribe button. Don't forget to like us and all that business. I will see you in our next live stream. We live stream most evenings around about 3 or 4 p.m. till around about 9, 10 p.m. That is my life. It's quite good, actually. I like playing driving simulators. Off to finish my tea, which is next to me. It's getting cold. Take care. Goodbye.